So today we'll be looking at those reusable content. When you talk about reusable content, you're talking about, let me zoom into this drawing so that I can take a closer look of what I'm talking about. This bed now, on this drawing you are seeing here, is a block. It's a reusable content. This reading table and chair is a reusable content. This media table, TV stand is a reusable content. The chair and the table, they are reusable content. Now, come to this place also. These WC units, they are reusable content. The wash and basins, they are reusable content. These dining tables, they are reusable content, including the shower and a lot of other things that you fixtures and fittings and furniture that you use on your project. They are reusable content. And when you master the use of CAD, you will devise a way to use these contents and to make it easier and faster for you to produce your drawings in the shortest time possible. So sometimes you will draw these blocks yourself, and sometimes you access them from another drawings that you're working on, and then you convert it and keep it for your own use, for your own project. So for example, here now, we're going to just make a demonstration here. Okay, let's assume that we want to, something very simple. Let's say we want to draw a table. And it means that the table will see it in plan. Something like this now. You can call it a table. But for the purpose of what you want to do, I don't want to use rectangle to draw it. I want to use single lines. So I will just trace this, trace this, trace this, trace this, and then I will remove this one so that I can draw this now. Okay, this is the same table that I just drew now with rectangle, but now is single lines. Each line is a segment. They are not connected with each other. Okay. Now that I have this now, I want to convert it to a block. Now, on your draw toolbars here, you will see here, this command is insert block. The next one is make block. You use the command insert block when you want to bring in your block into your project. You use make block to create blocks, create reusable content that you can always reference and use on future projects. So now we have this rectangle here now that we want to convert to a block. There are two ways. It's either you come here and click on this make block. Once you click on it, it brings out a dialog box, block definition dialog box, that you give the name of the block and then input other parameters that are associated with that block and select it. But at the same time, we can still go to our keyboard on our command line and type block. You can see that as you start typing it, it will bring out other different commands that starts with block. So this is what we want to do. It brings out the same block definition dialog box for us to proceed. So I'll just call this table now CIT 222 table. I've given it a name. And now it's asking me to pick points. Pick points means each time you're bringing in this particular object you want to convert to a block, how will you be carrying it with your mouse? What part of the body of that object will you be carrying? Will you carry it? So I will just click on pick points and say, okay, this thing I want to, each time I'm bringing it, I want to carry it from here. So I will click at this point. And then the next thing is that I will select what I want to convert to a block. I want to convert it to a block. That is very, very clear. So I will select that object. I will window this to select it. Yes, I've selected it. Now, under settings, look at block units. Your block unit should be in millimeters. If your own is not in millimeter, most times when you open this page, you see your block units in inches. They're not supposed to be in inches because we're working with metric units. So the block unit that you should select is millimeters. So once millimeters is not highlighted, select it, and then you now say okay. Remember, when we are trying to draw this rectangle, this table, now we will draw it as single lines that are not connected. But let's attempt to select it now and see what happens. You can see that it has been converted to one single continuous line segments, closed. So we've succeeded in creating this as a block. However, please bear in mind that as we created this block now in this file that we're working on, this block is only on this file. I'll repeat it again. This block is only on this file. Remember, the idea of creating blocks is to be able to reuse it. They are called reusable contents, which means anytime you're working on another project, on another file, different from this particular file that we're working on now, we can easily access it and use it. But now, this particular block that we just created now is inside this particular file that we're working on, which means if we want to use it another day, it means that we have to open this file, select it, and then use it on our project. But I want you to also understand that each time you copy blocks from one file to another file, that blocks come with some other junks. It can come with some dimension styles. It can come with some text styles. It can come with a lot of other hidden blocks. And what it simply means that as you are doing that, as you are collecting copying a block from another file, you want to use another file, as you are going through that process, you are gradually increasing the size of that particular file that you're working on. Which means that if you don't have a very strong, very good machine, computer with good graphics card or good random access memory, the more you copy blocks from another file and use on a new file, it increases the size of your file. And the implication is that your systems will become slower. You need to understand that. You need to understand that. Just like seeing a 10-year-old boy and you give the boy 50 liters of jerrycan filled with water to carry it along a distance. Definitely, you will discover that that boy's movement will be seriously slowed down. So now that we have seen the challenge of copying a block from a file and using it on another file, what are we supposed to do? What you're supposed to do each time you create a block, or each time you want to keep a block somewhere, if there's a block, somebody gave you a file and you saw a block in it, you like that block, you want to use it for another project, another time, you need to now do what is called write block. Write block is the process of saving that block in a folder where you can easily access it and use it on another project. Remember, they are called reusable content, meaning that you have to keep it in a place that you can always access it easily. And that place you keep it, you will just call it like just like your block data bank. Okay. Now, first of all, I want to show you that this block is in this particular file they're working on. So if we want to access it now, we simply go to Insert, go to Block. All the blocks that are inside this particular file, if I click on this drop-down arrow, I will see all of them. These are the blocks that are inside this file. But the one that we are looking for now is the one we called CIT 222 table, this particular one. We select it, and we say, okay, observe where I'm carrying this block from. Remember, when we were creating it, when I said I picked point, I picked this particular lower left corner as where I will be picking it from. And you can see that my cursor looks as if it's pinned on that particular location until I click to release it. Like this. You can see that my cursor is free now. I have dropped it here. It's on this file. I can always use it anytime I want. So for me to take this particular block that we just created now, or you're working on another project, somebody gave you a file, and you saw some beautiful blocks the person has already in that particular file, and you like them, and you want to now put it in that data bank where you keep your own blocks. What are you expected to do? I will show you now. First of all, you have to create a folder where you will keep those blocks. And I always advise you to create that folder in Drive C. You create that folder in Drive C. So simply go to your file browser, navigate to Drive C. If you are doing this for the first time, once you click on you want to create a folder for your blocks, it will take you to Documents. So I'll advise you navigate from Documents to your Drive C. In your Drive C, you create a folder, and that folder, you call it Blocks. And each time you want to save a block on a particular project that you're working on, you're working on a project and you created some blocks, you want to now save it. What you simply need to do is you just navigate to that place and then save the block in that particular folder. Now, the block will still be in that file that you're working on, but you have created it, you have now placed it in another location, in another place where it is easier for you to access on another day. Because if you leave it in that particular file where it is, it means that you have to navigate to that file, open that file, and then copy that block. And as you're copying that block comes to other chunks. And it makes your file to increase in size. So now, to create that, to write block, meaning to save these blocks that is in this particular file into a place where I can always access it, you do what you call your write block. Your write block. So I can go to my keyboard now and type W block. You can see as I started, it brings out the W block. It brings out the write block dialog box. Just look at this now. Now, it's asking me source. What it simply means, what is it that you want to send to this particular database? Is it objects? Is it an entire drawing? Or is it a block? Look towards your right side. You discover that this particular window is not open. So right now, I cannot see all the blocks that are already in this particular file that I'm working on. But once I click on block, it opens up this particular place for me now. It means I can look for that particular block that I want to send to my database. And for what we are doing, we are dealing with CIT 222 table. Now, if you look at the lower part of this dialog box, it's asking me for destination. It means, where do you want to keep this thing now? This block that you want to save, where do you want to keep it? Now, if I say okay, it will take this my block to drive C, under users, design team head 1, documents, and then this. But that's not what I want. So this box beside the file path name, I will click on it. Like I told you, once you click on this in the very first time, it takes you to documents. But I don't want to save this inside my documents. So I will navigate back to my drive. I want to put this in my drive, my data, my D drive. I already have a folder called blocks. If I don't have a folder called blocks, I will create one now inside this place. Now I'll open it. And the next thing, I say save. And it will save it as AutoCAD 2018 file type. Supposing I want to save it as a lower file type, I simply open up this place and select the version I want to save it inside. So if I click on save now, it brings out this into me. I'm saving this in drive D under my block folder, and then the name of the block. And the insert unit is in millimeters. Remember what I said earlier. If it's not in millimeters, you do well make sure that you bring it to millimeters. So you say, okay. I've been able to save this particular block now inside that database. And I can always call it up at any time on another file that I'm working on. Remember, before, that folder was only in this particular file. So supposing, let's do something now. I just opened another drawing now. I just opened another drawing. And what I just want to demonstrate to you that I can always bring that block into this particular file. I've kept it at a central location where I can always access it. So for me to access it now, I still go to my insert. I still go to block. Now, this block I'm looking for is not inside this file. So the ones that are inside this file already, look at them here, but they're not inside this file. So I will browse. And if you are doing this the first time, it will take you to documents. So you just navigate to where you are going. So my block folder is in drive D. So I open it, look at that, my CIT 222. I'll say, click on it, I'll open. I've now installed this, I've now inserted this block on another file, different from where I created it. So you need to understand that. So that is how to make a block, and that is how to also create the block as a reusable content. For example, I'm back to this particular file now, and I just want to demonstrate something to us. There are some reusable content that I already have. Maybe I got it from somewhere, but it's not in my block data bank, and I want to take them there. For example, in this particular file that we're working on now, there are so many of them. Let me just show us before I proceed with that. These are different. If you look on the right side, you will see the preview. Let me go to something. You can see the preview by the right side. That the preview of all the blogs that are there, but not all of them are in my database. For example, let me look for something interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Look at this bed that we have here now. I don't have this bed in my database, but I want to keep it there. I'm not trying. If I say okay now, I'm carrying the bed in this particular file that I'm working on. I've dropped the bed here. But I want to keep this bed. I don't want this bed to just remain in this particular file that I'm working on now. I want this bed to be at a place where I can always use it at any time I'm working on. Now, this bed is this block that is a bed. It's already in this file that I'm working on. So for me to write it as a block where I can always access it another time I'm working, I simply go ahead and type W block. It brings out that same dialog box for me again now. Now, instead of typing W block, I can do underscore W. And it takes me to the same place again. I will click. It brings out this dialog box for me. I want to write a block. This bed that is in this file, I want to keep it at a place where I can always access it another day. So I say I want the source of this I want to write now is a block. So I will look for it here in this file. I think that's it. It's already, look at the file path, the destination. We are all welcome back. So I've selected block. This is the block I want to write now. I want to convert it to, I want to take it, save it in a data bank where I can always access it. That's my bed. That's one I've selected here. And look at the file path. Now I'm doing this thing for the second time, and on my file path, it takes me straight. It takes me straight to that my block folder. Now, if you are doing this for the first time, it will take you to that document. So it's now left for you to navigate from document to that place that you kept your blocks. The next time you're doing it, it will take you straight to that place because that information has been embedded in the system that it recognizes that blocks, this is where you keep them. So once you click on this part again, it will take you straight to that block. So my unit again, I will select millimeters. And I'll say, okay. I didn't change the name. I didn't change anything. But sometimes you can decide to change the name also. If you don't like the name that came with it, you can change it to a name that is unique to you and the way you want to identify those things easily. Give it a name that will help you to identify them easily. Okay. So that's how to create a block, save the block by writing it to a data bank. That's a folder that you already created somewhere on your system, which means next time you go there and access it. And I said again, if you are working on a particular file and you saw so many blocks that maybe your friend or your colleague has already created them on that particular on his system, and he's using those blocks on a particular file, you don't need to start say, okay, let me create them as blocks again. What you need to do is to write them as a block, meaning that what you need to do is simply save it to that your data bank where you keep blocks by simply write block. Select the command write block by typing it on your keyboard or _W. It will bring out a write block definition dialog box. It's a block that you want to save. Select block, not just an object. Locate that particular block. Make sure that your units are in millimeters, and then make sure that your file path takes that same block to the exact place you want it to be. You simply say, okay, and it's there. You can see that this block is on this particular file that we're working on. And this is where we saw it and we've created it. I will navigate to another file, this particular file that is here now. What will I will attempt to bring in that block that we created now into another file. So I simply go to insert, blocks. On this particular file. Okay, it wasn't here. Look at it here. You can see it. I'm carrying it now. Now, if I'm interested in making it, I want this to be like a complete with the side table. Simple. Place the side table here. For example, you can decide to do something like this. Take it to the other side. So I can now save this now. So each time I'm carrying it, it will come with the bed and with the side drawers. So that's how to create a block. That's how to manage it. The next thing that we're going to treat in this class today is managing external references. Managing external references. You know, there are some times that you're working on a project, and there are some things that you see you want to adopt for your project. For example, let me give you a scenario where this particular challenge will arise and how you will handle it. Supposing you are commissioned on a project and you receive the survey plan for that particular project. That survey plan is just the original blue copy, the one they usually use. So you have that particular paper that shows the survey of the land, that shows the profile of the land with the angles on the survey, everything is there. It's possible that some of those dimensions might not be clear. It's possible that some of those angles might not be clear. It's possible that that particular survey plan, it has many turns here and there. If you want to start drawing it, it will take a long time before you can be able to navigate it with all the angles. So what are you expected to do under that kind of a scenario? You will use what is called external references. You bring in your survey plan as an external reference. And when you're bringing it as external reference, you are bringing it as what is called a raster image. You bring it as a raster image. to bring it as a raster image. Let me bring in a drawing here, and then we can use it for what we want to do. So in the first place, if I want to bring in a raster image simply means a JPEG file. It simply means a PNG file. It simply means a bitmap files, pictures, just simple pictures that you can bring into AutoCAD environment. Simple. That's what we call raster image. So I'll go to insert. And then I'll go to raster image reference. I select raster image reference. Now, I can select this one now and go ahead and complete the task. But at the same time, it's possible that you're working on a particular project and you want to underlay another floor plan. You want to underlay another floor plan. You want to place a floor plan and then you want to trace it out. So for you to do that, you go to DWG reference, or even DWF underlay and DGN underlay, and then PDF underlay. What PDF underlay means that you can bring in a PDF drawing here and trace it out in your card. So, but what we want to do now is raster image reference. So I'll select under insert, I select raster image reference. Remember, the same thing is happening here. Each time you are carrying out a command for the very first time, once you click on that command, if it's taking you to a destination where you will locate a file or select a file, it will take you to documents first. So it's less for you to navigate from that document to where you want to, where you have kept those information you want to use for a project. So I simply open up this place and go to go to this place, and I will just go to, okay, I want to get a survey plan. I will come here. I will come here. Yes, this is a typical example. I will click. Now, if the name is too long, the system will shorten the name for you to give it another name. But it looks like the name is okay from what we're seeing here. I don't need to browse again to locate anything anywhere. So I simply say, okay. And now I'm carrying that survey plan. It's left for me to place it where I want to place it now. So I can do something like this. I've succeeded in bringing in this survey plan into this place. Now, one of the information that I need, first of all, I need to find out one particular length. What is it? Okay, this particular length is 88 meters. Okay, that's all I need though. I don't need any other information. I just want to get that this place is 88 meters. I'll just check the other ones. $75 points. Okay. I don't think this is 88 meters. I think it's 40 something. Okay, let me look for another one that is very clear. Let me use this one. Is okay. No. Let me just look for. This is 75.50 meters. 75.50 meters. That's okay for me. So now, what I need to do is I select. I can use line or polyline, any of the commands. Okay, let me use polyline. Come here. I'll click here. I will switch off my auto so that I can navigate my mouse effectively to where I want. So the next point is here. The next point is here. Next point is here. I'm going back to where I started. Instead of clicking, I'll type C to close it. I can still proceed and draw those boxes. I type C again. Uh-oh. I'll go again. Like this, like this, like this, like this. Come here again, like this, like this, like this, like this, and I type C to close it. That's how you complete a closed polyline. Now, for this software that I have here now, I can say reasonably well that I have extracted enough information for me to work with. I just indicate the road. What's going on here? Okay. I draw this. I've gotten every information that I want on this thing. And then I also got information that this side, the length of this place is 75.5 meters. So now that we have succeeded in tracing this thing out, simply go back to your insert and select external references. It means everything that you've added to this your drawing that is not originally in this your drawing, they are considered to be external, something that you brought in. And one of them is this picture that is here now under these external references. So I'll select it, I'll right click, and I'll say detach. I'll do it again. I'll select it, then I will right click, and I'll say detach. If I say detach, it will detach it on immediately. If I say unload, it will unload it, but I can always call it back. But I don't need to call it back again. So I say detach. You can see that he has completely removed that raster image. Our drawing is now free, but our drawing is not to scale. This survey we have here now is not to scale. It's just a picture that we brought into this place and we trace that picture out. By doing that, we now have the correct profile of that land. We have the correct angles of the boundaries of that property. But the exact dimensions, they are not correct. But one thing that we know is that this particular line here is 75.50 meters in real life. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to scale this thing. And for to scale it, we need to find out this length that is here now in this thing, this one that we do, what is it? So I select my measurements to measure this place. If you look closely, you see that the dimension is 15160.9882. That's what we got. And the values that we're getting is in millimeters. However, our drawing, the survey plan, is in meters, which means that 75.5 meters, I need to convert it to millimeters before I can apply the scaling here. So now that I've measured this particular line now, I've measured it and I discovered that it's 15,160 millimeter 0.9882. So I'll go ahead and select scale on my modify command. I'll select scale. Then it's asking me to select the object I want to scale. This is the object I want to scale. And it's asking me to specify the base point. I'm sure all of us will understand what base point means now. So I just select this place as my base point. If you look at what it's asking me to do now, it says specify scale factor or copy reference. What we want to do now, we already have a length. This length that is 15,160 millimeters. We want to tell the system, please convert this 15,000, scale it. Scale this 15,160 millimeters to 75.50 meters, which means 75,500 millimeters. So the system is already asking us specify scale factor or reference. We want to do reference. We type R. If you look at all the commands, the very first letter in that command is in blue. It means that if you type that letter, it recognizes that is the entire word that you are that you've referenced, and that's what you're using to perform your commands. Okay. It's asking us now, what is the reference length? I mean, okay, you say you want to use reference to scale this particular survey plan. What's that reference? Okay, the reference is that we measured 15,160.9882. That's the reference. So we now enter. It's asking us, what is the new length now? The new length now is the actual length of that particular line on the survey, which is 75,500. We enter. You can see that particular this survey plan we drew now, it has been scaled. So let us try and confirm. Remember, when we did this thing before, we measured this line, and this line indicated that this line is 15,160 millimeters. Now, we've used reference to scale it, which means it's supposed to be 75,500 millimeters. Let us confirm it. So I'll select it, this again. Select again. You can see that it's telling us that the new length now is 75,499.9999 millimeters. As accurate as possible by 0.0001 millimeters. So now our survey is ready, survey plan is ready, which means the next thing we need to do is start working on our drawing. Maybe this can be your design. This can you can now add your rows and all those things that just to make up what you want to create exactly. So here we are. We've succeeded in using raster image to develop our survey plan. This same raster image can be used under different conditions. It can be used, you can bring in a picture. You can use that picture to create a block of a human being. You can bring in a picture of a car and create the block of a car. There's so many things you can do with this particular commands. So that's it. So that's it. Now, please, I would like to entertain your questions if you have any.